using the power of technology, of course, to our disadvantaged neighborhoods in New York City and then ultimately nationwide. So a little bit about how we got started. My parents immigrated here from Bangladesh. I came here when I was about 3 years old. I grew up in Queens, right around the time when gentrification hit really hard in the areas that I grew up in, which was Astoria, Queens. I don't know how familiar you guys are with that. We kept moving around a lot as a kid, and it got to a point where we were priced out of our neighborhood. Now, my dad, who came here, he had no idea about the credit system, how that works. He got a credit card, he maxed it out, he messed up his credit score. So basically, he was kept out of being able to acquire asset, in that sense, being able to buy a house. My mom, this was a teachable moment for her. She saw she built her credit score up, she saved up a down payment, and right around 2008, right after the housing market crash, so she was a little savvy as well, she purchased us a home in Jamaica, Queens. And I will never forget that moment because as a kid, I was in about 8th grade at the time, having something that a landlord can't take away from you was big. So I channeled that feeling, and that was really the first time I saw the power of financial literacy at work. And as two of the things that I've learned from it is that, of course, the power of financial literacy in changing the trajectory of a family. And secondly, poor financial choices being a teachable moment. I saw what was going on, but my parents didn't really teach me from what they made mistakes in, because I guess as adults, we feel like we're not all financially savvy, even when we make mistakes and we can learn from it. So those are the two things that I take away from it. Now, growing up, some of the kids that I grew up with, they were either in college or not in college. They're moving on, whatever it is, they all have full-time jobs. But one thing being, having an opportunity to acquire assets or to build generational wealth was a knowledge that they didn't have. And it made me think about, what really did we learn in high school that prepared us? I went to a pretty decent school here in New York City, and we only had one semester of economics, which, I really learned a lot about the GDP, but not so much on how to budget or what really is the purpose of having a credit card. And then of course we saw that it wasn't offered by the Department of Education as an elective. It's something that if you really wanted to go and look for it, you could find it, but it wasn't offered to every kid. And we feel like it's a human right to be able to be financially ready to take on some of the responsibilities to come, like student loans. So it got me thinking, what can we really do to maybe alleviate this issue? So I reached out, I graduated from City College of New York with a degree in economics, and while I was there, a professor of mine, I reached out to him, like, hey, I have an idea. What if we were to teach kids about things that I wish I knew when I was 19, when I was 18? And we do it in a setting where it's, very formal, laid back, not really a classroom feel, more of like a conversational feel. So they appointed me to a fellowship. It's called the Colin Powell Community Engagement Fellowship. I was luckily accepted into the program, and it provided me startup money to operate it. Within when we started, which was towards the end of 2016. So pretty much this was the solution that we came up with. Combining the power of tech and storytelling. We built our curriculum around the dreams that they want to achieve. We didn't want to go in. A lot of the programs that we saw from our research was very fear-based. That hey, if you don't budget, if you don't get on top of your money, you're going to be in debt. You're going to have issues. Save. Well, maybe it could actually be fun. Budgeting. Maybe if you put it towards your dreams. Maybe if you put it towards your goals. So then we decided to experiment with that. And ultimately, our idea was to gamify our topics and, of course, make it fun. One of the things that we saw was that classroom feel led kids to disconnect from the topic that's going on. They were more or less learning to kind of regurgitate it into a test as opposed to learning to actually apply it, because we're not going to test you. Life is going to test you, pretty much. And so we started out by going, our model for teaching is to go to organizations that already have audiences, such as after-school programs, schools, and something like this one, which was Boys and Girls Club out in Queens. And we started out by using papers. We did something as simple as check writing activity. We had them budget. And then we took that material and we took it to a broader aspect. This is just one of our workshops where we did it in the auditorium. We decided to make it colorful. we decided to make it not a packet. One of the worst things I've heard when we started out was that, hey, when we got in, we gave the handouts, and they're like, oh, not another packet, as if we were like substitute teachers. And we didn't want that whatsoever. So we made it very colorful, we made it engaging, we made it simple. And that really had a profound effect. And our next step was to take the topics that we teach, and we decided to write our own script, do our own voice recording, and then build out our own whiteboard animation. So on our website afterwards, I'm going to give you guys a link to our website. We have quite a few videos that simplify topics such as credit, budget, financial planning, and SMART goals. And that had a great effect too, because it made kids who otherwise would not engage with the material become more engaged with it. And finally, we introduced our gaming app earlier this year, March of 2018, which took one aspect of the workshop. Because we go in, we teach, we then have them compete and do activities, and then finally they pay our gaming app, which we used to do out of a PowerPoint. It was a very Jeopardy style of financial literacy. Split them up into teams, let them compete. Winning team, they would receive Amazon gift cards, because we saw that kids, regardless of what they win, if they win something as a team, they tend to remember that for the rest of their life. And then of course, we take the data from there and we provide a progress report to the organizations we're getting. So we give them a grade based on other students in their category. And up to this point, we've worked with 800 kids, so now we have a better idea of like, okay, this is how middle school students do, this is how high school students do it, and this is how young adults compared to the other ones. And then of course, that's been our model. We want to teach them, we want to let them compete against each other, and we want to give them a chance to win. So with minimal funding, we had a big impact thus far. We work with, like I said, 700 plus students, so we're at about 856. We've conducted 56 workshops with about 12 different organizations. We took a very strategic approach to each borough, so we're in 4 out of the 5 boroughs currently. And our goal is to be a reoccurring program with every organization that are serving you, and then ultimately with the Department of Education. We've got 90% approval rate. One of our biggest stats is not up there, but we've had 80% of students who have come in with misconceptions corrected, whether that be, hey, I thought credit card was free money, or, oh, I thought credit and debit was the same thing. Yeah, you'd be surprised how many students think that's the case.
Credit card is not free money anymore.
Yeah, it's not, sorry.
If it's not yours, it is.
Uh-oh.
Okay, Mom.
So yes, a lot of surprising things that we felt that kids were comfortable enough to open up about, so that's been something that we felt like really worked for us. We have a great team of 12 different, not all of them are pictured here, but 12 different young professionals who have dedicated their time and effort into building out our technology, our marketing strategy, our graphic designs, and of course, manning or limiting our workshops. And these are some of our partners. We have strong strategic partners in both in Harlem, Harlem, Bronx, the Boys and Girls Club of Queens. We have a good relationship with them. We're trying to expand on that. And then this summer we did our first completed summer program with TRIO, which is a talent search program based out of Brooklyn College. What they do is they work with at risk of failing out of high school students, and we worked with them for a whole month, and then I keynote spoke at their commencement, and it was great because I got a chance to talk to their parents about the kind of progress they made throughout the workshops, and then it was just a lot of fun seeing our first summer in action. And some of our recognition, we were featured on the Brooklyn Star cover. We were actually all over the Queens Ledger newspaper, which is great. Newspaper, especially on the community level, they have a very cult-like following. Especially amongst the older crowd, so it's great to see our story kind of put out there for what we're doing for the community and for the next generation. We're recognized here as part of the 30 under 30 of organizations that are working towards the Sustainable Development Goals. One of the biggest ones for us is quality education and reducing inequality, as well as gender equality, because from our study we saw that if you put the woman of the household in charge of the finances, more often than not, it got met. So that's something that we're trying to empower. And we were semi-finalists in the Unlocking Change for BNY Mellon. And looking to the future, we're looking to raise funding for our 2019 budget. We're looking from all over, whether it be from foundations, city, as well as private corporation, banks. We're trying to partner with the banks because one of the biggest things amongst the communities that we teach is there's a huge population of unbanked or underbanked individuals. So we want to get them early because we don't just want to, take the lambs to the slaughter. We want to teach them how to properly manage their money and how to properly increase your credit score and how to utilize that towards acquiring assets. And in order to do that, we need a strong banking partner. We want to finish our whiteboard animated series. We want to make it shorter and more powerful. And then, of course, build a community of people who not only became more financially savvy, but then they go on to teach the younger kids about being, about what they learned, kind of sticking to our original mission. And these are the links. You can check out our app. It's currently on the iOS store. This is our first version. It's called the Money Hub. And all our social medias, we're big on that. We try to create a platform for students to really showcase positive work that they're putting in, as well as my personal LinkedIn. And thank you. I'm open to any and all questions.
Thank you. So what's the best age you found to start rolling this out?